See, we travel a lot, and this is our money up there. We tried to pay for a taxi with Chinese renminbi at the airport. Did not work. So now we're going to see what consequences the productivity and quality revolution had for the world. See, that's where we used to grow. 9.02% per year, 1950 to 1973. 1973 is the Nixon recession. I know that's not your recession, but Nixon had a bit of an influence beyond the United States. So then it started slowing. From 73 to 1995, 8.86%. You see, that was much worse in the United States. In the United States, we had a productivity improvement of 0.9%. You guys were carrying us. And then it faltered. From 1995 on up until today, 3.93%. So now we can calculate, because I am an economist and that's what you're going to have. You can read this, how we calculated that. And then we forfeited, due to the loss of productivity, $475.26 trillion. I would love to write it out, but I will go all the way over to John and behind him in terms of zeros. I don't know if you know how much that is, but it's 10 times last year's entire world product. If we had kept our eyes on productivity, and that is why you people are the most important people in the world. If we had not taken our eye off productivity, we would have had an increase in our own income in the United States from 14 trillion to 45 trillion. And all of you in this room would have been more than twice as wealthy by income. All right. Then we're going to take the first of 3 approaches to improving productivity by 300%. This is the one you know the best. This is the one I heard at least 3 papers during this conference that you practice that. And this is what SAP practices. This is what SAS practices. They are using business analytics for doing that. And you can't really argue with the fact that this methodology, if you accept that 80% of value added comes from 20% of the resources used, then just focus 100% on the resources on high value added, and there you are. You have 5 times 80, that's 400%. That's 100% more than the 300% I promised you. So why is it that SAS, this famous analytics company in the United States, year after year, the best company we have, only guarantees 25% improvement? And why is it that SAP doesn't do it anymore? You know, the interesting thing is, if you look at it from that perspective, the average American company has 16 employees. Some of their customers may be cousins of your chairman of the board. Try to cut that customer off. Do you realize the practical aspect of doing the 80-20 rule? Even for a very large company like General Motors, it was difficult to use the 80-20 rule. So they used what they could, which was usually 25%. Second approach. Set a great, big, bold, hairy, audacious goal. This is focusing on what the productivity can do for your customers. Because it is actually your customers that need to become 300% more productive, not you. And for you to have a product that will do that, that's going to make you a very, very rich life. For example, Paula yesterday gave an example of some very bright English analysts spent 1.5 weeks of intellect, as she said, and they produced huge returns. And there were returns in water saving, waste saving, less energy. All of that happened because of a tiny investment in the human mind. And for me, the issue of setting outrageous goals It's like John Mann used stretch goals, set stretch goals, do something more than what you actually, don't do it something that's comfortable for you. You have to get out of the comfort zone. So at 50% per year, which we have in Silicon Valley, you know, the volume increases by a horrendous amount, 506% in 4 years. That's a lot. That's 206% more than 300. So if we behaved like Silicon Valley, things would happen. So I'm asking, what is it that Silicon Valley does that you can't do? I'm sorry, we have not found any industry that can't, if they want to, replicate Silicon Valley and what they do. Here's how productive the workers are in Silicon Valley. And they have to contend with the fact that it takes 18 to 24 months to double the capacity to calculate and to store data in the chips. All right. But once you get there after 18 months, say, then the technology that brought you there will not bring you to the next doubling. You have to unfreeze completely what you did before. But because of your chips is into every computer in the world, it has to be flawless. That's where quality comes in, but not until then. So Silicon Valley unfreezes every 18 months, and then it freezes to lock in the gains for another 18 months, then they unfreeze again. That's the secret of Silicon Valley. Can any one of you think of a project that you ever worked in that you couldn't do this? Someone will say, well, I come from Vienna and we only have symphony orchestra, we can't make them play twice as fast or whatever. Not the problem. That is just you making use of your imagination, your creativity, and certainly they say twice as many records because they were, you know, recording what people actually like to hear, and a number of things like that. There's no end to this. So here is how well workers were paid. You see, most people don't realize that the correlation between productivity and pay is 0.99. That's almost like God. I mean, that's almost like physics. We don't have a higher correlation in economics. We are looking, but we haven't got anything higher than 0.99. That's as close as we come to physics. So we even have productivity that rose faster than compensation, but compensation was